You know, people do crazy stuff because of money. Money runs so many avenues within your life that it's hard to fathom the thought. Money seems to run and ruin everything around us. There's a lot of people that chase money every day, like it is what will give them the happiness their life is missing. I was one of those people, and I want to tell you what changed my mind. So, I'll never forget this moment. January 1st, 2017, I was sitting on the balcony of my oceanfront room in Myrtle Beach looking at the ocean. I had had back surgery in November of 2016, and when I got home from this vacation, I was going to be released to go back to work. So I had about 6 or 7 weeks that I was out. I had my family with me that day. It was my 6th wedding anniversary. I got married on January 1st. And like I said, it was the release date of my back surgery. All I was thinking about was how to make more money when I came back. Because I'm the entire time I'm down with my back, I'm reading books on business and how to make more money and how to multiply your money that you have and just continuously building money thoughts in my head. I remember the doctor telling me, I was almost fighting against this doctor's advice. He told me, if you continue to throw tires every day of your life, you'll be a repeat customer to me. If you take care of your back and change how you work every day, you'll be fine. And I'm like, yeah, all right, doc, thanks. Appreciate it. And the whole time I'm thinking, boy, when you release me, I'm out the gate. I'm ready. I'm a worker. I like to work, especially when it was my thing and it was something I was driving every day to be, to become bigger. And that same day in 2007, January 1st, I went to Heidi and I told her, I said, 2017 is going to be a year where I clean all this mess up. In 2018, I'm going to make profit. Because in 2017, or in 2016, I was making money, but I wasn't making profit. I was turning money. I wasn't making profit in business, in my businesses that I had. So I told her, I said, 2017 cleanup, 2018 profit. And she just looked at me and smiled like she does because she's a supportive wife and she just rolls with me. She rolls with me. So the next week I went to the doctor, got released to come back to light duty. I don't really know what light duty is. It's not really in my vocabulary, so I dove back in. I was wearing this big brace that goes from your boobs to your waistline, trying to work. And this is at the 1st of January, of course. So I went to the comic book store that I had at the time, and I felt like that'd be a better fit for me. I felt like that instead of going to the wheel and tire store, the doctor told me not to lift tires. So I'm going to go lift comic books. Not really any difference. So after a few days, and after I got that brace off, I was picking up long boxes of comic books that weighed 40 pounds. I was on a 15-pound maximum with the doctor. I didn't care. I just wanted to work. I had been down for 6 or 7 weeks. Like, I wanted to get up and work. So I was working every day I could. I was worried about paying people at the shop every single week, and I was always trying to find somebody to help financially with the comic book store. I wanted an investor to come in and help us in the times that we were in. So at the time, I owned a thrift store, a wheel and tire shop, 2 comic book stores. The wheel and tire store, thrift store were 100% mine. Comic book store, I owned about half of it. And my roles differed at each one. But at the end of the day, I was the guy that put out the fires at each place that I owned. If there was a mess that we created, I had to fix it. In the first part of 2017, I had a lot going on, and I loved it. Loved every minute of it. I thought I did. Then April 1st came. I had a pretty significant injury, put me out of work for 8 weeks. That's the injury I've told you guys about. And this time it was different. It was unlike anything I experienced before. I was helpless. I was hurting. I was scared. I was completely lost. And just a couple of months earlier, I had it all figured out. I knew exactly where I was going. I knew exactly how I was going to get there. But that fall on April 1st, that was a total accident that couldn't have been controlled any more than it was, happened. So Heidi was a champ, absolutely my biggest supporter. At this point, I'm thinking in my head, I can't imagine what this lady's thinking. Like, she just went through me 6-7 weeks out of work. She's having to take up the slack at my wheel and tire shop. She's running it, calling me with questions. And then 4 months after I come back, I'm laid out again. Doctor said at minimum 8 weeks, at minimum. So it was 8 weeks. At this point, Heidi was responsible for 100% of bringing money in for our household and 5 other households inside of that wheel and tire shop. So every day she was going to the wheel and tire shop with the same stress that I used to have. So, and she come home and she was so much better at handling her stress than I ever was. At the time, the comic book store was suffering. We get ready to shut down the downtown store. Just never really got much attention that it needed anyway. And I had to make some decisions about my future. It was 30 days after the accident before I was able to read anything at all or watch TV. And at that point, I had to pick up something different than the business books. Like, the business books weren't doing it for me anymore. It didn't give me that inner satisfaction that I felt like I really needed. So I picked up the Bible. When I could, I started reading the Bible every day because the business books just weren't giving it to me. I reached out to the Bible for comfort in my time of need. By the middle of May, same year, I go to Heidi and I'm like, look, I got this deal I'm really interested in. I want to be an auctioneer. I got the personality for it. I know I can do it. I found this school in High Point that I could go to for it and train, 9-day school. So I go to the school and I spent 9 days in High Point. It was a much needed experience for me. It's my first time to get out of the house since everything had happened, kind of by myself, was able to really get my thoughts together. And the whole time I was thinking about auctioning. I mean, I was walking through my motel room doing auction chants. I was engaged. I was ready. I wanted to be an auctioneer. My brother Glenn was behind me on it. He helped pay for some of the class, but it still cost $2,500. My part. Like, with me staying there 9 days, I had to eat for 9 days out. I had to go to the class every day, and the class cost money. I checked on the standards of the North Carolina Auctioneer Board before I started any of this. I checked on the background. I know my background. I know my background better than anybody knows my background. So I knew what I was facing, but I also knew how old my criminal past was. It was really old, 20 years. So I came back, I took my test, passed it, and then about 3 weeks later, I get this message in the mail. And it said, you do not have the moral turpitude that it takes to be a North Carolina licensed auctioneer. It gave me appeal options. It gave me ways to kind of break through that and go sit in front of a board of auctioneers to tell me whether I was good enough for it, whether I had the moral turpitude. I had to look that up. Turpitude.
I've never heard that.
I had to look that up. It's basically how society views you. That's basically what moral turpitude is. So I talked to Heidi about it, and I'm pretty messed up. Like, it blew me away. It made me dive deep into thoughts, and it was bad thoughts. I mean, it was me thinking about my future that I had put in this ball for 3 or 4 months, and I just knew that was it. All your eggs in one basket type thing. I'm like, man, I know this is it. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna start doing auctioning. Everything's gonna be cool. Didn't happen that way. So, comic book store was doing horrible at this time. The operator of the store was having some bad issues personally, and it affected the sales and the company in a bad way. Just drastic. Everything was different. In August 2017, I was approached to open a salvage yard. I was approached by a local used car guy. He wanted me to open a salvage yard for him. We sat down and talked. I had found out I couldn't get my auctioneer license, but I can auction off cars. Because you can auction off cars as a non-licensed auctioneer because you're not doing the money part of the paperwork. They're doing that because it's a dealer item. Same thing with houses. I can auction off houses, but I can't auction off your stuff because I'm handling your money. And in North Carolina law, I don't have the moral turpitude for that. In August, I was approached about the salvage yard. I accepted the deal. I accepted the deal from the guy because at this time I'm like, I don't have anything to lose. I did not want to go back into that wheel and tire business. The wheel and tire business, the problem with that is that no matter how much you got it lined up and how much you got it figured out at the wheel and tire store, there is going to be a day that you have to go to the back and put tires on. I started doing that in 1995 in Williamston, and I did not stop until last year. And I was tired of putting tires on. I was tired of doing that. So this kind of gave me an out. And it was a dude that had money. He had a big car lot in town. And I was still running the wheel and tire store, but it was steady falling because I wasn't paying it any attention. I mean, I was paying attention to this new endeavor. So I gave the thrift store away to Heidi because she would do much better with it than I would. And she did. She picked it up and rolled with it. The salvage yard idea went belly up after a short-lived 6 months. The investor in the project was getting cold feet after 90 days of operation, and I knew it was only going to be a matter of time. And it was one of those things to where when we went in, I said, dude, a salvage yard is going to take a lot of capital to get going. And after about $30,000, he thought that was a lot. And in a salvage yard business, I mean, you're talking multi-million-dollar business a year. By the time you get it rolling, it's a big business. You got to put big money into a big business to make it happen. And I put the time in. I put the effort in. I know the salvage yard business right now, and have never had one. Well, I had one for about 3 months. 3 months of research, 3 months of running it. December the 6th, 2017, I walked into the comic book store by the movie theater, and I shut the doors. I told that guy to get out. It had become corrupt, the whole ordeal, by the operator. And I realized that there was a lot of product and cash missing from sales numbers at that store. I had to take that whole deal by the horns, and my objective was to get it out of my life as soon as I could. I was done with it. And I hope nobody takes offense to this, but I've never liked comic books. I didn't open the comic book store because I like comic books. It wasn't my deal. I did it for the operator. So by Christmas last year, I made up my mind that I was going to close down the whole shebang, everything. I was done. Money had driven me into a dark place I did not want to be. The comic book store was open for a friend of mine that I was his best man in his wedding. He ended up completely washing me of a bunch of debt that I'll carry with me for years to come. My name was on the paperwork. The salvage yard went belly up because of poor financial planning. The wheel and tire shop had gone south because I didn't want to pay it any more attention. I was done with that chapter in my life. Handing money to ungrateful employees that would go out and be completely busted by Sunday because of their habits. And these are employees these are guys, I took a guy and sent him to rehab and told him, if you'll go to these classes after work every day, I'll continue to pay you. Just stay clean. I want you to stay clean. I want to help you. And it bit me every time I tried to reach out. Don't mean that you quit on those people, and I didn't quit on those people. I kept trying, but it gets to a certain point to where you know that you're on the bad end of that stick. I was just going to shut everything down and come home with my internet business and live happily ever after. I was able to pull a center cap business out of my wheel and tire shop that I moved into a little barn in my backyard. And it was enough money that I thought it was enough money for Heidi and I to live off of, and everything would be fine. So on April 1st this year, I closed the thrift store and Pilgrim Wheels down, went home. It's a side of life I hadn't experienced in a long time. A life that didn't have as much money, but I had plenty of time to spend with my wife and kids that I didn't have before. Heidi and I started having conversations that were more than just about money and how we would pay employees on Fridays. I told y'all this earlier. I hated Fridays. This new life was a welcome change to me. My life had steered me away from the core values that my dad had taught me years before and the values that his dad taught him that he passed down the line. We must strengthen ourselves to think differently when we wake up. We have to think positive. It sets the tone for your entire day. God first. Put the focus in the right areas of your life, and this life becomes easier and you become better. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. It's Matthew chapter 6:24. Family second. Your family that surrounds you every day is important. And I know that word means different things for different people. I understand that. To me, my family's big. I'm truly blessed with family. I truly am. I still have parents, and I got my mom and my dad and my brothers and sister-in-law. Then I got my car club. I've been a part of it since 1992. It's a family to me. Then my church family, my work family. It extends into the family I have on each one of my daughter's softball teams. We're around each other a lot. We're family. Everyone's take of family is different. If you don't have any family, think about what I just said about church, ball teams, car clubs. There are plenty of other organizations just like this one, the 1% Better family. This is a quote out of a devotional that I was reading the other day. Money isn't really much more than pieces of paper with pictures on them or virtual numbers in an online statement. And yet people kill for it. People get divorced over it. Friendships get destroyed because of it. When we love money and put our trust in it for meaning, purpose, and fulfillment in life, it always leads to destruction. Pete Briscoe. Third is business. Cash money. Maybe not cash money. I don't get any cash money anymore. This is knowing that money is important in your life, but not letting it get the first position. Don't let it get pole position. Don't allow that. It's not even worth you allowing that. It's not worth enough to be in your first position. We know we have to have money to survive, but we determine how much money we need. It is all in our standard of living, how we want to live. It's kind of a funny, but how much money do you think the tribe of warriors in Africa need? They don't need money like us, right? They live in a whole different environment. It's a whole different culture. It's a different way of living. We must understand where money is on our priority chart of life. Understanding that, along with having faith in the message from the Bible, will give you so much freedom than you have now. How much money do you have to make? Have to make. This next little quote comes out of the man's Bible, every man's Bible that I read at home, and it's a New Living Translation, but Jesus continually emphasized the dangers of materialism. Materialism is not just a problem for the rich people Jesus encountered or for the characters in his stories. The tendency to desire more of everything is endemic to human nature. Is that endemic? Is that right? Notice that Jesus was concerned not so much with how much wealth we possess, but how much our wealth possesses us. True freedom and contentment cannot be found in the things we own. These gifts are freely given to us as we humbly turn to God for his gracious help. When you realize that you didn't have anything when you had the money, you realize that there is so much more out there other than money. So many things fail because of money and the misuse of it. Why are people so infatuated with money? Why does it seem like the most popular way to make someone happy? I think it's how we live. I think it's got a lot to do with, could you imagine that channel lineup at the top 50 years ago? How many channels would be up there?
3, 4 maybe.
Maybe 4, right? So, and you look at online. I don't know if you guys know this, but every single thing you do with that device you carry around all day long is tracked. Everything. If your phone can tell you how many steps you took every day, it can tell you what conversation you had. I swear I've had a conversation with Heidi and picked up my phone. There was an advertisement for whatever I was just talking about.
Yep.
It is absolutely invasive because it wants our money. That is what that's after. You have tracking cookies, tracing cookies. I got an opportunity when I owned the comic book store to do this ad. There was a big convention at the Greenville Convention Center. They come in and said, look, we got this new technology, and this was 3 or 4 years ago, I guess. Not 2 or 3 years ago. We got this new technology that if you want to buy in on it, you can pay so much per click, and we target that area of the map just around the convention center. So if you want to target the people inside of that convention center with your product, then I can target just them. That's all I have to target. And I don't have to pay for the people that are riding by on Greenville Boulevard. I can target just them inside that convention center. Now, if technology is that deep, if you have any doubt whatsoever that you're being followed, then that should tell you. You're being followed. Every click you make, it is an advertisement. When you click on, God, I was about to say something real stupid. When you click on baseball bats, you click on, shut up, Reed. So if you click on baseball bats and you go to Google and you search baseball bats, go to your Facebook page, see what pops up in the right-hand corner.
Yep. Absolutely, every time.
Every single time.
Yep.
It tracks every move you make. I got Alexa in my house. It's like having a private investigator inside your bathroom.
No, you're not messing with Alexa.
And the thing is that I'm glad you said that, because the more we try to run from it, it's going to catch you. There's nothing you can do. You're going to put black tape over your phone cameras. You're going to put tape over your voice control thing, so when you get a phone call, you got to rip tape off of 3 places to be able to talk on the phone. Everything you do. So my answer to those questions is culture. Always faced with money decisions. We know we got to have money to live, but you don't have to wake up thinking about it. Our culture markets and advertises to us nonstop every day. Online ads everywhere, marketing messages within TV shows. Let's not talk about the airtime on TV. Let's not talk about places like the news outlets that are getting paid to put the message in front of us. I mean, you're going to see a car wreck that somebody got injured in, but then the next message is something that somebody paid for. All that stuff's paid for. Everything in this world runs off of money. Pay attention to that. Understand there's a different way to look at it. So how do you go from here? Think about investments. I've built so many business plans. I've had to do return on investment analogies and all this crap so many times that this popped in my head. And I saw that image, and that image just speaks to me. How about if those coins were people? How about if you invested people? How big would your tree be? How many people would you be able to touch if you thought about that as much as you think about how you're going to pay your bill next week? Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. Biggie told us, more money, more problems. Biggie or not, he told us. What benefit are they to the owners except to feast their eyes on them? What good is that brand new Chevrolet truck that costs $183,000 now? Okay, it's a little dramatic.
Yeah.
What good is that? Unless you're at a position in your life, I ain't got nothing wrong with somebody owning a brand new truck. Don't put yourself in a situation by owning a brand new truck. Make sure you're at the point in your life where you can do that. The sleep of a laborer is sweet, whether they eat little or much. But as for the rich, their abundance permits them no sleep. That's where I was. That was the position I was in. I worried about money so much and how my operation was going to continue to grow that I had a hard time sleeping. I mean, you have a hard time going to bed at night thinking about, I got to wake up, and you think about your problem as big as this room. I mean, that's how big you think it is every day. So, as I ask you these questions as we wrap this up. What is the order in which you think about your daily life? We've talked about that. What thought is it that's on your mind when you wake up? Is it the thought of anything happening on Facebook overnight? I mean, come on. Some of us are guilty as charged. How can I go out here today and make someone's life a little better? Maybe it's your coworkers or your family. Maybe it's your classroom or your house. I encourage you as we leave today to think about how you can impact someone's life with a positive message. With meaning more than a piece of paper. With conviction because you've been down the road that you see them going towards. You can help them. You can help them out of a path that they're going down right now, and you can pull them out. Speak up and have the courage to do it one time. And speaking on courage, what I'm doing right now, I mean, it was a hard place to get to. It's not a hard place to come back to, because now I feel like I got people that are committed with me. So it's not a hard place to come to every Thursday, but the first meet was really hard. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if one person was going to walk in the door, if 50 people were going to walk. I had no idea. And it worked out perfect because I had faith in myself and I had enough courage to do it one time. And I had faith in myself to get up here and do it. And God gave me all that. Like, it ain't my faith. It's faith in the fact that He's going to pull me through it. Talk to God about it. Let Him know how you feel. Talk candidly, just like you would talk to me or a friend of yours. Don't think that you have to pray in a sense to where you're like, oh, Father, how art thou? I need to know. I don't even know the rest of the words like that. Don't think that. Just talk. Just talk. He understands. Allow Him the opportunity to lead you down a path to where your life has more purpose than chasing a paper dollar bill. At the end of this life, that money you have will mean nothing and will not be able to help you escape the deathbed. As in this scripture, we should sharpen people to lead a more positive, refreshing, and free life. In Proverbs, it says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Remember what I told you guys at the beginning of the story? How I told Heidi, 2017, I'm cleaning up. 2018, I was going to rake in the profit. It was 2018. Maybe I just didn't know what the profit was. Let's say a quick prayer. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us here together. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk with each other and lean on each other in times of need, Lord. Be with us as we try to change our perspective and become more positive as people, and our light shines where everybody around us can see, and they ask us questions about it, and we're able to tell them why our light's bright. Be with us as we go through this next week, Lord, and be with everybody here. Thank you so much for everything you do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.